Let's have a conversation about West Africa, and this is about justice in West Africa. This is from the Republic of Liberia. We are honored to host the Chief Justice of that country. Now, that name again. Let's just first of all spell it. Her Honor, Sie-A-Nyene.
Exactly.
And then the other one is Gyapay. That's one name. The other one is Youth without a T.
Never heard it put that way.
Sie-A-Nyene.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
That's
So
how you
you
pronounce
got
it?
it.
We're
I
impressed.
mean,
My friends.
I guess he's phonetically
Your
inclined.
Honor, Your Honor, can you tell
See,
them?
please, sorry.
They don't get it. Now the second one I cannot
Something called
pronounce.
the back end.
Your Honor, welcome. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for having me this morning.
I don't know whether you knew this, but the person who accompanied you to the studio is actually royalty.
Well, she didn't say that.
Yes, she is.
She's a relative and not royalty.
Thank
Yeah,
Thank you, Your Honor.
she is royalty. She's Her Royal Highness. So the name?
Chinyelumugo is
Well,
Yoku. Yes. It's Yokubundu. Yeah, it's Yokubundu.
Hey, Chinyelumugo.
Yes, exactly.
Okoh.
Yes.
Yes. Your Royal Highness, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
It's good. It's
Please,
good to have you
all
here.
this big title.
Yeah.
Ugo. Simply Ugo.
What does Ugo mean?
Ugo means honor.
Very good.
See that?
See?
Yeah,
See? See?
exactly.
Your Honor, what does your name mean?
Well, I always explain this when it's tough. You have to understand how to pronounce it. If you are from the area in Liberia where my late father is from, that is Maryland County, from the Grebo tribe. Now, Sie, that first, those first few letters, S-I-E. Sie in the Grebo dialect means man or husband. Now, A is just like some connectivity there, but Nyene, the last part, N-Y-E-N-E, means woman. So but they've combined. My name is the woman of man or man's wife. Yeah.
So we're in the presence of a woman man.
Yeah.
How about the other name?
Woman.
And the other one which has so many Gyapay, but you pronounce it as G.
Gyapay.
Gyapay.
is also Gribble. That was my father's nickname. It's like a play, name or a fun name, a name of, care and love. Yeah.
Hey. Nice one. So, this is our sister Ndu's sister. Yeah. Chinyelumugo Okoh.
Chinyelumugo Okoh.
That's it. We know what Eziokobundu means. What does Chinyelumugo mean?
Chinyelumugo means God has given me honor. Yeah. So Ugo at the end, as I said earlier, means honor.
Honor. Chinyelumugo Okoh. So she is the country manager for IDLO Liberia country office. And thank you very much, ladies, for joining us today. Let's talk about justice in Liberia, post-conflict and into transition, and the role of the judiciary. City will welcome you with the day's proverb. The proverbs this week. So every week, City goes to one African country, and he either chops up or mines or harvests proverbs from that country. All right? Whatever the case may be. This time, he's in a country where he's mining proverbs, and this is
DRC,
very good.
Okay.
République Démocratique du Congo. Yes. Maize grows for those who do not have teeth.
Maize grows for those who do not have teeth.
Wow.
Your Honor, what do you think this proverb is saying? What's your interpretation? Wildest thinking.
Oh, that's deep. Maize grows for those who do not have teeth.
Yes.
Now, I would never want to put myself in the place of a maize, and being soft, quick to seep out. And because I'm more of a standing person and an assertive person and very meticulous, and to be without teeth. Without teeth, I'll never want to be in that position because I want to have teeth, and for the profession I have chosen and even the position I'm in right now, I need teeth to be sure of that. I do need teeth, and I must be able not to only have teeth, but the teeth must be so strong to bite anything that comes my way, and maize will just not be part of it. It will definitely not be part of it.
Nice.
Thank
Ugo,
you
what's
very
your...
much. You reconstructed
That's a good
the
one.
proverb completely. Thank you. Excellent.
Ugo, what's your interpretation?
I don't know. You know, when you read it, I was sitting here thinking, I'm like, now how is someone supposed to chew that maize if they don't have teeth? But then my mind also went to the other part that, you know, the maize grows regardless of whether you have teeth or not. And some maize is hard, some maize is soft. You might be able to chew it regardless of what your dentures, your dental formation looks like. Right. But honestly, I'm not sure. This one has thrown me.
How do you apply what you've just said to real life?
I don't know. I think sometimes you have what you need, or it might be right under your nose. You might not have the capability to do a particular thing. You reach out to the next person. That's why I think who will chew the maize for you? It might be the person right next to you. You might not be able to do it because you don't have teeth. But the person right next to you has teeth and more and can help
puts you in too much of a vulnerable situation. You know, a maze. You know, it makes things so easy, and you're not even sure of yourself. You know, for me, it puts you in a position of vulnerability, and for me, that's not me.
It's not an option.
No, it's not.
Your Honor, you are currently the Chief Justice of the Republic of Liberia. How long have you been in this post, and how did you get into this post?
Thank you. Yes, I am the present Chief Justice of the Supreme Court of Liberia and administrative head of the Judiciary branch of government. I was appointed to this position in 2022 when the then Chief Justice had to mandatorily retire. Our Constitution allows for justices and judges of courts to mandatorily retire at the age of 70. So that's what brought me in. I got into the judiciary actually in 2013 under the administration of former President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, and as an associate justice. So I've been there for practically 11 years now. Before then, I was in the practice of law for over 25 years. I worked, in fact, we were one of the founding members of the Association of Female Lawyers of Liberia. That organization was birthed during our civil crisis. I served during that period also as vice president of the Liberia National Bar Association. So this is where I've come from, and now I am here at the helm of the judiciary.
How is the judiciary in Liberia organized? For example, in Kenya, we've got the Supreme Court, the Court of Appeal, the High Court, we've got the magistracy, or we have alternative justice system. They're all, part of the judiciary. How is it in Liberia?
In Liberia, beside all of those other administrative or other courts that you have, in Liberia, there's a three-tier structure. You have the Supreme Court at the top as the court of last resort, and then you have what we call circuit courts and specialized courts like tax courts, juvenile, well, not juvenile per se, but commercial court, the labor court. Those are some of the specialized courts, and then the magisterial courts. So that is the sequence, and that is the structure of the court system in Liberia. The magisterial courts were previously courts of non-record. So everything was done there expeditiously. The decisions were written at the back of the writ, and then lately it was changed to them having court of limited records, because now the law has been amended that appeals from the magisterial court lie at an appellate review at the circuit courts. So now you needed a little record more to have that appellate review by the circuit court.
What do you mean when we say that it's a court of no record?
Well, non-record, as I understood it was basically an expeditious hearing, because these are courts of first instance, and these were found in the districts of each county in Liberia, and this is where the citizens of that particular district, just when it could rain from someone stealing someone else's chicken or their clothes or their phone, and they went directly to these courts. So so you sat there, and the magistrate just listened to both sides and just maybe apply the law. But actually, the intent, if you read the legislative notes on the establishment of magisterial courts, then it was merely geared toward keeping the peace in those respective districts. So in terms of their jurisdiction, both by subject matter or over a person, they are limited. They are limited. Even when it comes to criminal cases, their jurisdiction is limited to their petty offenses. So at the time, it was just a matter, the legislative intent was just for them to keep the peace before going into the circuit courts, where records are actually made, because they can appeal from the magisterial court to the circuit court.
Chinyelumugo,
Yes, sir.
what is IDLO? And what is it that you're doing in Liberia?
Okay.
We know you're not from there.
She said she's from there.
IDLO is the International Development Law Organization. We are an intergovernmental organization that is headquartered in Rome, in Italy, and we work with governments in promoting the rule of law, access to justice as a means to sustainable development. So if you look at the Sustainable Development Goals, our focus is on SDG 16, which is about peace, justice, and strong institutions. So we work with governments and support them to strengthen institutions to deliver justice. I am the country manager for the country office in Liberia. So we work very closely with the government of Liberia, particularly the Judiciary, Ministry of Justice, the Office of the Solicitor General, the Liberian National Police, but basically the rule of law and justice and security institutions that have a mandate for rule of law and justice service delivery. So IDLO has been in Liberia since 2016. We're hosted by the government. We have a host country agreement with the government, but we're just one of about 32 country offices around the world. IDLO has a country office here as well that has been here for several years. So in Liberia, we have a portfolio that works quite a bit on human trafficking and combating human trafficking in Liberia, but also in the Mano River Union in West Africa, which is Liberia, Sierra Leone, Cote d'Ivoire. And then we also have just completed a project on strengthening gender equality in law enforcement agencies. So we worked with several of the law enforcement institutions in the country to promote gender equality and mainstreaming gender in their work. So we continue to work with the Judiciary. Her Honor and her team are one of our strong partners and have been since 2016. We do quite a lot of capacity development and support for the prosecution, for investigations, prosecution, and adjudication of a range of cases, and supporting the criminal justice chain as well. But the end goal is to improve justice service delivery with the government of Liberia.
How does a country get to work with you? Do you apply to work Do you make a phone call, send an email? How does one, or do you send a WhatsApp message? How does one get to?
You need to know a guy.
You need to know a guy who knows a guy.
Yes.
I think it's also the mandate. We are donor funded. And so it's also the interest of where IDLO feels that they can support the goals and the strategies of the government in justice service delivery. And IDLO has member parties, so countries can apply to become IDLO member parties. Liberia, for example, is one of them. We go where there's also donor interest and where the government as well has also asked the IDLO come in to partner with them in delivering justice programming.
So if someone doesn't show an interest and they're not members, you do not go to their countries?
Not necessarily. I think if there is a need that can be filled and IDLO has comparative advantage in meeting that need, then there'll be an interest in going there. But of course, you have to do the assessment to see if you're actually best placed.
Whether you're needed.
Exactly, because your presence there should be relevant and responsive to the needs on the ground. Yeah.
And sometimes the donors request.
Exactly.
To come.
Make a request.
Yeah, I know we're going to go to break in a bit, but Your Honor, just to look at Liberia and the judiciary, having worked, coming out of over a decade plus, plus more, out of a conflict situation. How has the judiciary developed from what you can see, coming from, the legal profession, still within the legal profession, of course, as now the highest judicial officer in the country, coming from post-conflict? How have you seen the development of the judiciary form to where it is today?
One of the issues, topics that we delved into at this conference yesterday was the demystification of the judiciary. And really, the judiciary is a mystery to so many of the population or countries. I don't care whether you're developing or developed country. The judiciary is the branch of government that most people do not know. And so most times it is just a hazard to get to know it. So when people even talk about post or pre, conflict era, you have to come from the point and how the judiciary is helping. You have to know first and foremost that the courts of any republic or any jurisdiction derive their jurisdiction from the law and nothing else. So even if you have a post or a pre-conflict, the courts can do no more or no less than to see whether or not they have jurisdiction either over the subject matter or the parties. So if you come from that aspect and this is what, because the court will not hear that someone was allegedly killed or allegedly raped, and go and call for that matter to come before it. No, that is a crime. The prosecutorial arm of the government, in this case being the Ministry of Justice, has to go investigate, get an indictment or an arrest, and then formally place that case before the court. Now, so if we know that, we'll be able to, unless the legislature changes, or amend certain laws, with respect to the conflict of whatever is happening in that jurisdiction, the court cannot make laws. We will be seen as overstepping our bounds and going and usurping the jurisdiction of the legislature. So most people do not understand that the court is confined. And when you say the judiciary, it seems as though we are some political branch of government that also comes in to answer questions and make policies. No. We operate from the confines that the law has ascribed unto us, and we go from there, and the only thing that would be different is, given the time and whatnot, is our interpretation of specific laws as it relates to the facts and circumstances in a particular case. So if we want to delve into particulars, we have to look at certain cases that the Supreme Court, being the highest court and the last court of the land, that is Liberia, then we can look into it and see what has been done. For example, since the post, and a war or conflict era, there was this whole issue of the new government coming in and removing, arbitrarily removing those from the previous government. And the Supreme Court looked into the facts and circumstances, because we cannot take in evidence. So they come directly there, and we find out that, look, in essence, you signed a contract with these people for an exact number or for a period of time. And therefore, whether a new government come in, you can just break that contract without there being repercussion, etc. So we had this precedent, that if you want to remove this person because you are a new government, you have to stay within the contract. And if you are the one wanting to break it, you're the new government, then you have to compensate the person for the full period of the unexpired term of that contract. So we did that during when the Weah government came into power, and then we found ourselves confronted with the same issue, and courts we are based, our whole proceeding are based on precedent, and somehow the new government thought that we would have just, changed, because of them being new and whatever their manifesto was that won them the election. The courts are separate from those things there. And one of the things, because I delivered the opinion on behalf of the court, and with one of our queries to the lawyers was that, as counselors of this high court, how would you ever think that the court will, especially the Supreme Court, would seem to be so unpredictable? Then we throw out precedent, then we may as well throw out everything, with regards an appellate court or any court for that matter. So we did the same opinion, said this is the precedent. If you don't want them, do this. We're not going to change. The court has to remain predictable.
You've delved into the area of judicial overreach, and I'm sure yesterday when the Supreme Court of Kenya was celebrating its 12 years. City? I know you have questions. Question number 1, A.
From what I thought you wanted to tell me something.
Not the maze.
The role of the judiciary in Liberia, it is the third arm of government, one of the three arms of government. How exactly does it play this role?
That is a very, very observant question. But I think what we should look at is the fact that although we are a branch, one of the branches of government, we are apolitical. I remember one of our judicial scholars put it this way, that the legislature is like the sun that comes up early and brightens the place by the laws that it promulgates. The executive is like the moon that shines at night to give light even in the darkness when crime are prevalent. And he said, but the judiciary is Joshua that tells the sun and the moon where to stop. And this is very, very true, say, in my mind. We have a role, but it is distinct, and indeed, we are there to interpret the laws that the legislature promulgate. We are there to bring some semblance of order in the executive, that, like in Liberia, that is the largest, employer in the country, and who also brings in fact, as head of government, the president as head of government is the one through whom all of these different programs and support comes from around the world. So the judiciary, again, the mystery of it all, we are there principally to focus on the rule of law, adherence to the rule of law, that those two political branches are doing what they are supposed to do. And if the people are not satisfied with either their policies or how they are dividing the wealth of the country, they come to the Joshua who can still the storm, utilizing the very laws or utilizing the very policies of both the legislative and executive branches of government. So our role is unique when it comes to adhering compliance with the rule of law, and as we say, no one is above the law. So people have a place to come to when the two political branches have seemingly overstepped their bounds or got outside of the confines of the law. That's where we come in.
What steps has the judiciary taken? I'm asking you now, as head of the judiciary, to ensure that the citizens of Liberia not only understand what your role is and that they support it.
Okay. Previously, it has been very difficult for the judiciary to play that crucial role or to be seen as a friend of the public, where they know coming there they will get not only justice, but they will have their rights really protected. And it is only recently that the present bench, but being bold to say under my watch, and especially coming up with notes that I've taken over the years, either as a practicing lawyer or as an associate justice for over 9 years. I utilize those notes, and I've come up with what I call rebranding the judiciary, because if we don't do this, if we don't let the people know what we are all about, we're going to be having this problem. And it is the people whom we expect to speak for us to the other two branches of government. So the rebranding process, we have taken a little a division there and have expanded its jurisdiction. They have been working assiduously to come up with notes and a program where, without compromising matters that are sub judice or still before the court, the public, the general public, they will be able to understand what the judiciary, particularly the courts, are all about. For example, we have started this work now, where as soon as the Supreme Court delivers opinions, it is placed on our website, the judiciary's website, right away. Secondly, we have two bodies at the judiciary. One is called the Judicial Inquiry Commission, that deals with complaints from the public against judges in general. Then we have the Grievance and Ethics Committee, that deals with complaints against unethical behavior of lawyers. So over in the past, those two bodies were strictly with judges and lawyers. But from the past administration of retired Chief Justice Kokpa, we came and said, look, we have to utilize these organs for the public to also be aware what the judiciary is doing. So we have, in recent times, infused civil society into those two bodies and have taken a majority of those lawyers and judges. So you have a priest or an imam who in both of those bodies as members. You can have maybe the president or so of the civil society organization there. So now, and we even have a nun, a Catholic nun, on the Judicial Inquiry Commission. And then the only thing is that it is chaired at different intervals by a justice of the Supreme Court. And we have the involvement of the National Bar Association, as well as the Association of Female Lawyers of Liberia. So that is one way of getting the public to know what we are about. And even when you come to the printing of the opinions, yes, people might not be inclined to be interested in it, where it includes all of our legal terminology from English to Latin, etc. So we are now taking another step where we want to get this program going, where the director for publications will be on the radio, the government radio station, just saying what we are all about without, delving into matters, even if they have been determined or they are still before court, because nobody can explain the rulings of the court except the court. So we're hoping that will come about. We could not enforce this because, again, the financial aspect of where the judiciary stands with the other two branches, one that makes the budget law and is by law, authorized to make appropriations for the smooth running of the republic as the Constitution mandates, and the other who holds the purse, this case the executive. But this was a new government, and with my administration being a new one, we were both at a loss because the previous administration had already passed the budget for 2024. So we are hoping that for the 2025 budget, the judiciary will be a full participant in sitting around the table and see how what we will say in simple parlance, how the cake will be cut, instead of like in the previous times where there was this imposition of what the other two branches felt that the judiciary needed. In fact, just for your information, we had, she can bear me out, we took on this task with the previous government and now the new government, and there was this impasse where the Supreme Court said that, look, we will not go any further until you comply with the law, because there is a law called the Financial Autonomy Act of the Judiciary, where the Supreme Court is supposed to be the one submitting the budget estimates for the judiciary. But in the past, it was being prepared by the Ministry of Finance.
Wow.
Yes. And we were just left, and they would write us and say, look, this is your ceiling. And the Financial Autonomy Act says, no, when we submit those estimates of salaries, etc., you, Minister of Finance or Ministry of Finance, the arm of the executive there, you cannot revise it. If you have any concerns, you note it and put it file it with the president, and you place it before the legislature, but you don't touch it.
Nice.
And that was the compliance we insisted on, and we said we weren't going to accept the 2024 budget because what we had prepared was this and not this, and we were not going to have that imposition. So they thought it was a joke, but again, I'm not like the mace, and I'm not teethless. So, we've had a reckoning, and now we're supposed to go together now as three co-equal yet separate branches of government to decide on that revenue intake and how it ought to be divided based on our budget estimates.
So the rule of law stands out. So, Ugo, I mean, when you look at support for the judiciary, and clearly that the rule of law is the number one thing that would be upheld, how then does the support or buffering of the judiciary in Liberia, how does that play out?
I think something that development partners, where we come in is that you are there to fill in gaps. That's the same thing I also say about civil society organizations. The government can't reach everywhere, but you also have a mandate to deliver on some services. So you're a partner with the government in meeting its mandate and delivering on certain programs and activities that they might have. Thinking about, making the judiciary more, should we say, approachable or understandable by the general public. I think there's a role to play in public awareness on what the rule of law is, what the judiciary is. The development world, we're very big on, the quote-unquote taglines of rights holders and duty bearers. Mm-hmm. And as common citizens, we're very good at saying the government should do this, the government should do this. But that is the government's job. But what is my responsibility as a citizen? So I can say that the government is there to protect my rights. But do I, understand what my rights are and what are my responsibilities in ensuring my rights, but also ensuring that I also uphold the rule of law? So I can cry and complain all day that the traffic cop on the street is corrupt. But, so if he stops me because I have a broken tail light, or I don't have my first aid kit, or I haven't updated my insurance or my registration, should I blame him for taking a bribe if, for me, the quickest thing is to give him a bribe? So have I fallen short of what is expected of me as well? So that's why I'm saying, what is my responsibility in upholding the rule? I can't be crying about corruption, but my actions continue to feed that. So at some point, where there's a lot of civic education that can be done about awareness of roles and responsibilities on both the government side and on the citizen side as well. There are, speaking to financial constraints and budgetary challenges, it's not something that's unique to Liberia, but to a lot of countries that many of us have operated in. There's the needs will always exceed the available resources. But where development partners come in is to work hand in hand with the government to see where what we have can be prioritized to make sure we're able to make the biggest difference with what we have. But then where can we piggyback on some initiatives as well, where the government is already working, where a development partner comes in with additional resources to support, again, that will have the most impact. And, the little seed can grow something big and go farther as well.
It's a lot of work that you're doing. And I'm sure, looking at not just Liberia, but very many other countries that you're supporting, a lot of work to do. Thank you very much, ladies, for joining us today. It's a quick, short 1 hour, and we appreciate your presence here. We have had the presence of Her Honor Sie-A-Nyene Gyapay Youh. She is the Chief Justice of the Republic of Liberia, and Chinyelumugo Okoh. She's the Country Manager, IDLO Liberia Country Office, talking about the role of the judiciary in post-conflict and in transition.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.